This is the salad perspective modification again. The salad has been slightly tilted back because it was at the wrong angle to the camera, and then another salad with a mask added on top of it to make it not look like it's wilted, but still in the right perspective for the bottle. This is a nice scene, but this is a flat salad. This was tilted back to match the perspective of the bottle and sitting on the table in a restaurant, but it's a wilted salad. It really needed the two salad effect to kind of beef this up again. This is a beautiful scene, beautiful assembly for the background. Actually, I think that's just one table shot there. But the salad mask is problematic because it's kind of rough cut around here and the rim of the bowl is gone. And this is a drop shadow effect. Drop shadow effects can only make objects look like they are floating against a wall. So this shadow tells me that there's a light down here and this object is floating in front of a flat photograph. It doesn't give me any feeling of depth. And the bottle, this is an EPS bottle that does not have any transparency. Again, it's got a drop shadow, and the drop shadow says this is a cutout flat bottle floating in front of a flat wall. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for real three-dimensional depth. This one's pretty good. It's a nice scene. It's actually assembled. So there's a background, and there's an edge to the wood. There's some shadows here, but I think they're behind the wood. Oh no, there's the wood. Okay, here's the wood. So there's the tabletop, and there's the bottle. And again, this looks like, yes, it's a drop shadow, which says it's on a flat floating wall. It works better without it. And there's the salad, and it's got a drop shadow, and that doesn't work for me. You need to put like a real shadow on there. This also isn't masked quite as well as I would like, although perhaps with the other background in, yeah, it's not noticeable. So that's okay. But if it was against a lighter background, you would see the dark edge from where the shadow was masked, and that wouldn't look good either. Without those drop shadows, just these shadows here, these look pretty good. But drop shadows don't work. Drop shadows do not make something look like it's three-dimensional. They make it look like it's flat. There's a nice scene. This is a flattened salad, and it's not flattened enough because it doesn't match the perspective of the table. This is tilted forward relative to this table. So this is one where my salad, where I use perspective transform to flatten this a little more so it matches the perspective of the table, and then use another masked salad on top of that to make it look like it's not a wilted salad. The bottle is an EPS. It doesn't have any transparency. This one, nice idea. I like the different herbs. I like the texture of this sort of wooden background, but the shadow says these are flat objects. At least that shadow does. This would work, except that this says it's real close to this wall, so that bottle probably couldn't be there because these are too flat. There's no depth. And this is one of my favorites. Now there's a lens flare added, which gives a nice touch, except that the lens flare also creates these little lines, which are kind of distracting. So if I turn this off, those lines disappear. So nice effect. I think probably be better off just on another layer. If you want more of a highlight there, take a white brush, soft feather, and put a little highlight there. Easier than the effect, and doesn't produce these lines that somehow come in with that effect. It's a great label, it's a great bottle, nice cap, and it's a really nice looking salad. I would eat this salad. That's a good salad. The shadow looks correct for the scene. Remember that even though the light is coming from the front, you can see a little highlight on the rim of this crude, this little picture here. There's a highlight on the front edge here, so the light's coming from here, coming from the front, but because this is probably about an inch off the table, you're going to see a shadow underneath there. The bulk of the shadow would be behind, just like it's behind this. And it is pronounced in lighting over on this side, so probably this highlight on the bottle and this shadow works for that salad. And what else is there? Well, the table, if you can find something you want to make a table out of and you use perspective transformation on it, Command T, yeah, there you go. When I go to Command T, because it has a smart filter on it, the smart filter is a lens transformation to achieve the perspective. You can't transform with the smart filter turned on, so it turns off when I hit Command T, And then you see that it was a flat photograph of wood, like a fence or something, that through a perspective transformation was converted into a table. And then the shadows, if I change this to normal, the shadows are the complement of the color of the table. So the average color of the table, add 180 degrees to that in the hue, saturation, and brightness. If I take my eyedropper and sample this table, and then 180 to this, that'd be 209. What do I get? I get a blue actually, so I'm not sure if that green was the right color for that shadow, but it seems to work okay. Salad, background, a mask to fade out the table. That probably could have been done, by putting a mask on this. Let's see, mask, and just painting this onto there. There's a way to do that. You could Command A, copy this, Alt click on this, Command V, paste, and then that becomes the mask for the table. I can turn this off. Might be a little low. Unlink that, and with this selected, I'm going to move this up a bit. So maybe somewhere around here. Probably about there would be about where the student had it. So I don't really need this one. I could do that with a mask rather than a separate layer. Bottle. Probably if I duplicated this layer, and then on that back one, change that to maybe a vivid light or a linear light. Maybe that would make the bottle look a little better. You decide on your bottle depending on what your background is. So that's the project. Start in Illustrator, add artboards for your label and your bottle. Make sure that the position of your label and your bottle is such that you can get an artboard that doesn't include anything but the bottle on it. And the same with the logo. You don't want to include part of the bottle in the logo. You don't want to include part of the logo in the bottle, because that means that when you put this into Photoshop, this is going to come in with it, and you don't want that. You want the bottle by itself. Once you have saved it as EPS files as separate artboards, reopen the bottle EPS and save it again as an AI file. Yes, you could copy and paste this into a different document, but I want you to understand how EPSs work. I want you to understand how artboards can allow you to separate out parts of your file. And then place it in Photoshop. Then reopen the EPS of your bottle, save it as an AI file, put the AI file into your Photoshop scene. And that's all you need. You need a background of some kind. You could have multiple backgrounds. You can explore how to use different backgrounds in the next part of the project. But for now, some kind of background. You can have a table. You can set up some sort of scene. You need a salad, and you need a bottle of dressing. And that's all of 8B. Save that as a PSD file with layers. We want to use a layered PSD file in the final phase of the project. And I'll explain why when we start on 8C.